this is the level of tech they had, right? This is the 1800s in
Yep.
Victoria. Okay,
And
wood, horse
yep,
and car,
yep,
wood,
no power.
shovel, right? No power tools. And look, they're working in suits. I mean, come on. Look, they've got suits on.
Far out.
These people don't know what they're doing.
So welcome today, guys. I'd like to introduce a really awesome guest. He's been on the show before, and I'm lucky enough to get him on again. And we're going to pick his brain today, and that's Cambell from Autodidactic. And Cambell's research into topics such as mudfloods and Tartaria and just, mate, so much really. You've got another channel too, Spiral Up, which is another one that I watch. And yeah, mate, you're a real gem, brother. And myself, my son, really have followed your work for years, mate. I remember when you first started and you only had a couple of thousand followers, and I'm still not even at that level, mate. So I'm, obviously a new channel and working, and really thank guys like yourself for your support and having a chat with us. And yeah, mate, really been keeping a close eye on your work. I would look every day to see your vids. So thanks for your time there, brother. How are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Yeah,
just my pleasure, man.
38
Love
degrees.
The background.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. There's a very big dome there. This is actually, they say it's a drawing, right? A design that never got built in Chicago, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, they do that a lot, eh?
Yeah, I know, right? It's just a picture. Never existed. Oh, and that one that did exist, sorry, we just knocked it over. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Just had a war and destroyed it anyway. Yeah, love that background, mate. Yeah, and I really wanted to pick your brain today, my man, and really your wealth of knowledge is something that I really want to share with people, and the more we can share this knowledge, the better it's going to be for everyone. In particular, the Tartaria I wanted to chat about. Mate, here in Australia, I find it so fascinating because, we apparently, Captain Cook pulled up in 1788, in the shores of Botany Bay, and within such a short time frame, the buildings they're building, mate, they weren't even built for people of our scale, and that's quite clear. It appears like the whole earth has been terraformed as well, mate, and that's something Michelle Gibson mentions in her work, which I find really fascinating, really resonated with me when she said that the other day when I was listening to her work. So, mate, yeah, I guess first of all, in a quick summary, what could you put it in your words, if possible, mate, a little, if it's possible to even, I guess, like a little summary of what sort of happened from 1800, and see if anyone who hasn't heard of the topic Tartaria, perhaps, if you could give them a little overview of what we're talking about.
Sure, no worries.
What do we have here?
So Tartaria is, well, it's here on a map, and Tartaria was, it doesn't exist anymore. It wasn't really a country, it was a region or a civilization. And the further back you go in time, the bigger it gets. And at some point it was all of, all of Asia, India, China, Russia, this whole area up into Eastern Europe was all called Tartaria. And then Africa was called Barbaria. So Barbaria is actually Africa, but they tell us where do the barbarians come from? Not Africa, right? The other direction. So everything's so inverted.
Yeah.
But basically, this country existed. And we've got so many maps, we've got so much information. We've got king's lists. We've got all this stuff, but we were never taught about it, right?
No.
Why weren't we taught about this in school? Because we've got maps up into, the sort of 1830s, 40s that mention Tartaria. Marco Polo's travels, he mentions Tartaria. And so this is where we started, was what is this country and why is it being hidden?
Yeah.
We're just not taught about it at all. It's been wiped from history. And then, after Tartaria, you start getting into all these other topics. Tartaria again. This sea was called the Sea of Tartaria as well. As you can see up here, Chinese Tartary, Tartary Chino or Chinua.
Fascinating.
So all this area. And the other thing is, we're now told that all these areas like China, which used to be called Cathay, and then it was Tartaria, and all these sort of northern countries, we're told, they were all Mongols, like Genghis Khan, we're told was a Chinese dude, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was like a 6.5 foot tall redhead white dude. And we know this. And so the populations were completely different. Like, so much has gone on. And that's why it's such a big, it's not the best picture, but it's why it's such a big topic, is our history has been stolen from us, our past, and they have literally rewritten it. Okay, all we hear about this region is China and Russia and India. We never hear about Tartaria. But, this was all Tartaria. Up here we have, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the Sea of Tartaria.
Incredible.
So, and then we have words, right? Tartan, tarts, there's tartar sauce, steak of tartar, and there's so many tartar things, right? Excuse me, I'm about to cough.
Yeah, it's great maps, mate. And the interesting thing is their architecture is, that's why we see that architecture the same. It's all around the world, even here in Australia, which I find absolutely fascinating, mate. And yeah, man, when I went to Melbourne used to go to Melbourne a bit, and like I'm now living in Queensland in regional areas, so I don't really see cities at all anymore. But yeah, when I was in Melbourne, geez, once you realise what you're looking at, those buildings look totally different, mate. It's like being in Gotham City in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, did you know that Melbourne was designed by Mr. Batman? And I'm not kidding.
It gets better and better, doesn't it?
It's ridiculous. It's just, yeah, it's great.
Wow.
Yeah, Melbourne in Australia. So, I mean, even Captain Cook, and I haven't done a lot of research on him. And this is the thing with this topic. I mean, really, it starts off as Tartaria and then a bit of Mudflood and then Star Forts, and then you realise it's all of history. So it's a massive topic.
Yeah. Was he even real, mate? Was Captain Cook? Yeah, we've all heard the story. Was he a real person, brother?
Well, this is the thing, right? He supposedly, discovered it, well, not discovered, but landed and founded Australia, 1788. Yep. He also ended up, he was killed in Hawaii.
That's right.
So he was up in Hawaii. He sailed around the whole rim of the ice wall, and that took him, I think, 3 years.
60 miles, and it's supposed to only be, it's like.
Yep. And then he was out in the island. This guy went everywhere.
Yeah.
In the 1700s in a little sailboat.
What a legend.
It doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. What a and incredible. Probably using the stars to navigate too.
Yeah. This is the thing, and then so we get Australia. We're told 1788.
Yeah. So this Australian history, mate, geez, like being Aussies, this is because, mate, when I used to go, you travel overseas and stuff, like you think their history is, you obviously go there thinking, oh, I'm an Aussie, I don't have any history, and it's now it couldn't be further from the truth. Like,
This is the thing. Stop sharing. I'm told I'm from convicts.
yeah,
Right, so I'm convict stock apparently, and that whole story is a bit, dodgy when you look into it. But like you said, with a convict, that's what does that mean? It means I've got no history, right? You might be able to trace it back. Apparently, my ancestor got sent across on the Second Fleet, so before 1800. And then it's like, well, he was just a commoner and a thief, so there's no history. We don't know. Or all I've got is, oh well, he had like 7 kids and they basically ripped him away and sent him out here. And that's what we're told. But it's a kind of story that's not very easily traceable. And this is how they hide history, right? And they tell us, oh no, we don't know if I don't know, I really don't know if I came from convicts, because it's just a story.
yeah.
Right? It's history is his story. It's just and it's story. Like the authors are authority, right? Authors, authority. That they're the ones who write the story. And so when you start looking into spelling, it's all there as well. But the convict story, they tell us, oh, they had these ships and they were just full of people chained up and they just sailed across. Now these trips, we're told, took 6 to 9 months.
Yeah. With animals too, bro. Like, imagine animals.
A lot of time, animals, right? Horses and camels, especially. Horses and camels in Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you put a horse or a camel on a little wooden boat? Now, it's not going to be able to walk. It's going to have to be in a stall.
Yeah.
Standing up. It's going to need all its waste gotten rid of. It's going to need to be fed. The boat's doing this constantly. And so, is that even possible for those animals to get here alive? I mean, you've got to think about it.
I don't think so. I used to have, I'm not a horse person, but we used to have horses, and I was petrified of them. But mate, I know we're like the smell of a horse. If you don't clean a stall out for a day, within one day, the smell. So imagine the smell in these, if it's even real. Like, did it even happen? Did they bring these animals over? Is it another story that we're just told? And it appears so.
It does. There's a map. It's a Portuguese map, I believe, from the 1500s. I can't remember the name at the moment, but it shows the side of Australia on it, and it's got horses and camels drawn on there. And the people are white-skinned.
Yeah.
So we just don't know what was going on here. When we talk to our originals, because I've done a few interviews with, elders and things on this topic, and they say a strange thing is they don't remember the buildings, around Melbourne and that, but they say that there was a lot of white people here and they had their cities, but they say the cities were in the centre.
That's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's funny how the whole country's covered in like red mud. Red dust. Yeah,
you mentioned the architecture, and we have this similar architecture all around the world, right? And we're told it's Greco-Romano architecture, that it all came from, Greece and Italy. But we find this stuff in Australia. We find it in, everywhere, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to look far.
No, you don't have to look far at all. Just go into your local city. So I'm just trying to get a picture up here.
Really just got to shift your perception, don't you, mate? Like, you can literally, once you start to look at those buildings and you can go, fuck, that does look like it's been, like, it is under mud. That looks like it's sort of halfway buried. And now, and then you can see the stairs going up. Yeah. Oh, no, that was built by convicts with horse and cart and no power tools.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see these windows. I mean, they've blocked up the bottom bit of them, but they're on ground level, and that's half a window. You can see that doesn't look like a full window. And look at the size of this building.
Oh, that's the thing, mate. The size of these Tartarians. So, yeah, mate. So we're painting a picture here of you can see, and there's another civilization that's quite clearly been here and around, mate. I'm from a little beach called Clovelly in Sydney, and another one is these tram tracks that used to go to all these areas that, like, right down to the coastline, where apparently, like in Clove Valley when I grew up, mate, like no one wanted to live there. You know, it was the undesirables. It's where the sewage used to come out, and now you got to be a multi-millionaire to live there. But these tram carts used to go right down to Clovelly and Bronte and these areas, mate. Like, and I always thought, why? Why? You know, I was like young questioning that. You know, it never made sense to me. You know.
Exactly.
Look at that.
Look at this runs in India.
Wow,
Look at the top of that.
man, that's just like
does that look like it's for the glory of God and because they wanted to make it look pretty, or does that look like some kind of tech?
yeah, Antiquitech, mate. And yeah, look at that. Like there's circuitry that you can go out the street and look at you know, similar shaped objects on your power lines these days.
Exactly. And remember, you'll remember this when we were kids. Do you remember that there were on power lines, they had like, they were enamel, is that the right word? These white sort of round discs.
Yeah.
Right? And they were on all the power lines. And then you used to find them just in the bush and everywhere, right? They were just everywhere. Right. And now we don't have them anymore. I mean, yeah, they're not there anymore, but that was one thing that was just everywhere that I remember. And you just literally find them walking through the bush and stuff. And, you know, why? What was it? What was all this stuff? It just looks like, I mean, you know, we obviously don't know because we weren't there, but it looks like all this stuff was based around free energy, right?
Yeah,
this is energy tech.
So that's
it doesn't.
Yeah, really important thing, mate, for people who are introduced to this topic to realise that this civilization, they weren't paying for water, they weren't paying for gas, they weren't, you know, they weren't turning up at jobs they hate, they weren't paying for electricity. They, you know what I mean? Like I think people have got to understand that this was a advanced civilization.
Definitely. And what happened is they stole the power.
Exactly. So
power. And so what do we do now? Or what did we used to do? I don't know if anyone will be doing it anymore, but we used to go every 3 or 4 years, right? And elect someone to power.
Yeah.
Of course, at the polling booth, right? Between the polls.
Yeah.
The twin poles, you go and elect. L is God.
Elect the ions, the charged particles.
Right? You elect electricity, power to power. This is all about, they stole the power and literally they stole the free energy. So now we have to pay to live. We have to pay to drink water. We have to pay to get electricity. We have to pay for all this stuff that was free. And they went in and destroyed the system and changed it. Basically,
so who do you think these people were, mate? Like, this is a real interesting one. Like I said, I've been listening to a lot of Michelle Gibson lately. I think she's awesome. You know, she sort of touches upon, they're not human, they're other entities. So, like, for people again who are new to this topic, what's a good way to explain this to someone? Because it can be quite shocking, mate. I just went down the markets then, and it was great. There was only like a handful of people with masks on, which was great. But other than that, met some really open-minded people, mate, and it was really encouraging. But yeah, mate, a lot of people are onto this topic, hey, and familiar with your work, which is great. So I said I'm actually running home to do a chat with Cambell today. And
really? They did? Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. And they're like, oh, cool. And they're big fans, mate. Like he just goes, mate, we don't watch anything else now, but like this sort of stuff, we just can't get enough of it. You know, I'm like, yeah, it's just, the truth is stranger than fiction, you know. So
and it's there to see. It's all around us. I mean, look at the size of this compared to these are the tops of buildings, you know, and these are probably 2-3 story houses.
That's haunting to me, mate. And look at just to point out, mate, the geometric patterns in the center of that building there. You can see where it's obviously some sort of sound. Yeah, just go down to the right, go to the right a bit, and you'll see that Yeah, just there, man. Like,
Oh,
oh,
this, yeah,
and just to that, there, brother. So those geometric shapes you just see really all the time in churches,
exactly.
cathedrals, and well, I know we've touched on it before, but pipe organs, mate. So
Yeah,
these were healing centers. That's
yeah,
sort of our take on it. Would you say?
yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's all in the spelling again, right? Organs, right? They're good for your organs. We have organs inside of us.
Yeah,
And we are energy, we are frequency. Organs give out frequency,
yep.
right? Choirs as well. You know, it used to all be about the free, you know, because now in churches, a choir is, you know, a bunch of people singing, you know, some song about God or Jesus that someone wrote 100 years ago. But when you go back to the origins, you find the Buddhists and the monks and that, and it comes from chanting and things like throat singing, and it's all to do with frequency.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Right?
We do a lot. Yeah, we do that in meditation, mate. The old Om. It's great when you get a room full of people, and I'll be playing 4-3-2, and yeah, we get them doing the Om. It's fantastic. But
You can
yeah,
feel it.
I
And
look at, it's just incredible, mate. Wouldn't it be great to start living like this again and
going
utilizing
to,
this knowledge?
we're getting there.
Yeah, bro.
This window is, your viewers might know what cymatics is. If you haven't, CYMATICS. Cymatics is where they get, they do things like put sand on a piece of metal, and they'll hook it up and put sound through there at
Yep.
different frequencies. And each frequency exactly holds the shape. And then you change the frequency and the sound will just change into another shape.
Yeah,
and that's what these are. These are representing those fractal forms, so this is literally showing us a frequency. That's a physical representation of a sound.
exactly.
That's what that is.
Beautiful stuff.
So this was, and you can see, like, look at these towers, right? Do you think that, I don't know, think something's missing from there?
It appears so.
They maybe went in and,
where's the domage gone?
where's the dome, right? Because look at these. These are empty. There's nothing in them. They're hollow.
Yeah.
So what are they for? I mean, if you look at it and you
The
see
size of those statues, bro, below. Wow.
Really?
Look at the humanoid shapes.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. You know,
And this is the thing. This is how they used to just finish buildings. It was all about, I don't want to say praise or worship, but about, the creator, and about, paying homage to this existence, to this life, and how good it was. And these
the
the gods
size of that thing, man.
And now what do we get on these cathedrals? They love to cover them in gargoyles, right? Now they go and put devil faces on them. And so this is what it is. You asked me,
look at that.
Yeah, right? Again, cymatic shapes. And does this look like a speaker, you think?
Wow. And
Imagine
does that look buried to you, bro?
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit short, isn't it?
Wow.
Look at the size of people.
Yeah, incredible. There's one of, I think, of the Crystal Palace, was it? One of the World Fairs, that the size of the building, it just looks like something out of this world, man. Like that's nearly like that one. Yeah, that's just.
This one's in France, but I mean, look at the size of the people.
Yeah.
And see down here, that's a door they've cut in.
Yeah.
That's for our size. Now look at the size of the door.
Exactly.
Why, right?
Yeah.
Built for bigger people. So getting back to what happened, and this is a great Romano, right? Obviously we see this everywhere, and we're told this is Greek or Italian. But these buildings, these columns, the porticos, all the the scrolling, everything, you'll find it everywhere.
Yeah, you literally see that everywhere. And just yeah, mate, that's like, people should go out and look for themselves, and they'll find it. If you're from Sydney, get into the city and have a look around. If you're from Melbourne, wherever, go into your cities and have a look. It's just incredible. Yeah.
Look up. We've been looking down too much. Look up at the buildings.
Yeah.
And this is how we used to live. This is the city of Namur.
So I guess great example. Like, we can see a star fort there from above, mate. And a lot of, well, we just, you know, it looks like that's how we used to live.
This is how we lived. And I mean, just looking at this, all the edges, you know, it's very, this star, same thing, right? Cymatic patterns.
Yeah.
So they're working on natural earth energies and earth grids.
Yeah.
And we've all heard about ley lines and this kind of stuff. Well, this is what they were working with.
Yeah.
And look at these cities, like these are all canals going through the man-made, you know, all these rivers we have in all these cities. I would urge everyone to go out and have a look at their local river, you know, in the city, and you will find that the edges are man-made. They're not natural.
They're not natural. Yeah.
They're man-made.
Man-made.
These are all most, you know, I'd say most rivers, you know, maybe not the ones out in the wild, who knows, but most rivers are man-made. They're canals.
Yeah.
Unless it's coming down from a mountain, it's a man-made canal, pretty much. And this is what we had, right? Water everywhere. Everyone had access. And of course, water's, again, right? What does water have? It has current, just like electricity has current, right? So this is all part of one system. They were using cymatics, energy, water, and getting free energy. And if we come down here, no doubt we'll see, see in the middle, we've got our cathedral. And look at the size. It's not the best picture, but look at the size of that building compared to all the other buildings. Right, it's like 5 times. So these things, you know, they're not buildings. Well, they're buildings, but they're machines.
Yeah.
But they're not for worshiping God. They're for creating resonance and sending out, you know, like the Beach Boys said, good vibrations.
Yeah.
To make everyone feel happy. And we know they've got the tech that they can send out, you know, frequencies that will make people aggressive or frustrated. Wow. We know this. So clearly that we've got the other frequencies too.
And mate, would you say these people were living like with no race divide? Because I find that, you know, to be this advanced, and you'd think they were living harmoniously and without war, without any bias or any, you know, this ridiculous thing about, you know, what color your skin is. Like, obviously, you know, would you say these people, it wasn't, you know, a thing to these people, you know?
Not at all. That's all introduced to create division. That's it. This is what we were doing, or, you know, the previous civilization. And I do think it was us. And I do think that we're descended from bigger people. But look at the size of this. We wouldn't even consider even trying to design something like this. And then you look at
and just remember the population back then. You know, a lot of these places, like especially in Australia, mate, there was no one there, and they're building these ridiculous buildings, asylums, prisons. You know, the zoos are the same buildings. You know, the government buildings that we use now, schools, all these buildings were just apparently built around the same time.
Yep. Let me bring up some pictures here. Melbourne, what have I got? Is a couple. Melbourne, I mean, Australia's a great one because we were born, you know, found, not founded. It's found.
It's definitely found.
If we talk about the people, they found Freemasonry. Yeah. Okay, so this is, you know, and if everyone probably knows what that means. So Melbourne, well, Australia founded in 1788, they tell us. Okay, here's one of the buildings. So on the first fleet, an interesting fact is they got here and they realized that they left all their tools. They didn't bring any tools with them. And I'm not joking, that's written down in history, right? They came here and they didn't have tools. And so they couldn't grow enough food. They almost all starved. Yeah. And the narrative says that, you know, literally, we were on the, you know, everyone was on the brink of death. And then a new boat arrived, the second fleet, with 800 more people. But everyone just lived.
Oh, right? Didn't they put it down to some guy who didn't they put it down to some guy who like he accidentally lit like a crop on fire or something, and the ash made the soil more fertile?
Really? I haven't read that one, but it would not surprise me.
Yeah, and that's how they survived. But look at that, man.
This is So this is in Melbourne, and this is
Yeah.
another thing they love to do. They leave the fronts of these buildings sometimes, and they just smash the back off them. In Fremantle, where I live, they do it all the time. They just destroy the buildings and leave the fronts because they look pretty.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at this. This is like, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, throw down your hair, right? What's that doing on the top of a building in Melbourne? I mean,
And
I know, but the narrative, it doesn't make sense.
yeah. And what about the carousel? Not the carousel, but what are the things in parks? The jazz bands used to the bands used to play in the park.
The bandstands and
Bandstand, brother. Hey, what
Yeah.
about those things? They look a little bit sunken to me.
They do, and they're always an octagon. So it's like they are there. They're that shape because they're part of the system. This is Melbourne.
Gee whiz.
Right now, so Melbourne was the last city to be found, right, by Batman, right? 1848, I believe. Now by the 1860s, Melbourne was the most, it was the wealthiest city on earth. This is what they tell. This is the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've built, those convicts built all that infrastructure, those buildings, the bridges, the canals, the railroads, the tram systems.
Yep.
Like,
the domes, the cathedrals, everything.
Yeah. Where did they get their glass from, brother? Where did they get their iron from? Yeah.
Yep. So this is another thing that a lot of people, they just sort of gloss over it. Oh, well, there's a stone quarry here. And it's like, well, even if you can prove they got enough stone to build, look at this city, how many bricks and how many thousands of tons of brick and clay just to build the walls.
Remember, bro, that's going on in every city, in every country, town, in Australia as well. It's not just, we'll all focus here on Melbourne. This is going on everywhere in Australia.
And all around the world.
It's
in the US, in Asia.
Actually, it does not make sense at all, mate.
Of course, there's tunnels everywhere. We all know about those. That they're suddenly, coming in. Like, this is Melbourne University, right? I mean, does that look like a castle or a university?
Oh, where's mate? Harry Potter's about to just fly out the window, I think.
So this is the thing, right? Brand new colony, no industry set up, right? This is the narrative they give
no
us.
Tools.
They forgot their tools.
No skilled labour.
They don't know where the raw materials are. So they don't know where to find the clay, where to find the iron, where to find anything.
Yeah.
Then they've
can't even grow food, but they're building these buildings.
Then you need all the industry. Then you need the massive transport system. Then you need a warehousing system. Yeah. And this is all just before you clear the land to start building.
That's it, bro. What about the dirt road? Like, there weren't even roads, but they were building these buildings.
This is a dirt road, right? These are wooden fences, but they built this at the same time.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense, right? And why? Even if you had all the materials, why would you say, well, we're a new colony, we've got all the materials, so let's build something with 20, 30-foot ceilings. Let's use 2 or 3 times the amount of materials we need to. Let's do that because we're a brand new colony, right?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
It's just crazy. So,
it's
so
awesome.
what's
what it is.
happened?
It's bloody fascinating.
We've been,
hoodwinked.
We've been invaded is what I say. Like we had this amazing, civilization, worldwide civilization that was built for us. Everyone had what they needed. They had, energy, food, clean water. And more than that, it was, all the water, we're pretty sure they were running, they were running through magnets and through different things to tune it, right? To make it good for us, to make it, because we know what's in the water now, right?
Well, look at those canal systems, brother, like you showed with the star forts. The canal systems are running around in the same shape as those geometric cymatic shapes. So That's what I've always thought, that the water was actually, like you just said, it's had frequency and magnets running through it, and they're watering their crops with this
Yep.
water. They're drinking this water. They're living for longer. Their conscious levels are so much higher. You know, they're not eating death.
No.
These were vegetarians, you know, vegans. There's no fat people. Look, any fat people around there? This would have been when they've just introduced the population. But
Exactly. These are new people.
yeah, mate.
And
What I wanted to ask you, brother, where
everyone's wearing the same clothes, right?
where did they come from, man? So
All right.
this is where it gets interesting, I think, because I've got my theories. Let's pick your brain, brother. That's what we're here for. And what's your take on that, mate? Where the hell did we come from?
So in the Bible, it says, you know, it talks about, you know, people coming down to earth, and, you know, they did all these things, and then it says that they sinned. They sinned against bird and beast, right?
With that
If you look
organ.
back in history, we have these, yeah, that's a pipe organ.
Yeah.
We have these things called cryptoids, these strange creatures that, and we've got books and drawings and everything of them, and they seem to be everywhere. And what they look like is, you know, when you get a fish or a beast and you start messing with its genetics, right? So they sinned against the animals. Now, what are we born with? What do they tell us we're born with? Sin, right? So is sin, does that just mean genetic mutate, you know, genetically altered? Because the story is, when we look back, so look at, and this is a perfect example. This is Melbourne. Apart from the fact that these windows go straight in the ground and the steps go up, so this is a sunken building. We've got one horse here, not even the owner. Where are all the people? Why would you build a building this big? This is clearly daytime, right? With all these massive ornate lights, what do they lit by, I wonder? You know, where's the gas can, right? The 1800s.
Oh no, the dude went around every morning and filled them up.
Exactly right. Why is there no people here? If we need buildings this big, who are they built for? So what we see in the past is we have the 1700s, right? And everything's really colorful and really ornate. And we've all seen the desks and the, you know, the artwork from the 1700s. It's just so ornate. You know, everything is just covered in gold, and it's all art, and people wear bright colors. Then you hit the 1800s, everyone wears black suits, wears hats. Everything is dull. Everything is black. Here's everyone digging out the civilization, by the way.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. Got some train tracks and stuff.
I love that. Like they actually literally dug those tracks up, mate.
Yep.
And that's one thing I see a lot around here in Queensland, mate, is these because I live right along the railroad. You can see the mud has just been pushed aside. It's literally made way or cleared it, and you can see it with your own eyes. It's really interesting.
And this is this is the level of tech they had, right? This is the 1800s in Victoria. Okay, and wood, horse and car, wood,
no power,
shovel, right? No power tools. And look, they're working in suits. I mean, come on, they've got suits on.
Far out.
These people don't know what they're doing. Literally, they've just been told, go in and dig all that stuff out. Here's a horse, fill up the cart, here's your shovel. Make sure you're wearing, you know.
Where did these peeps come from, bro? Where do they go and sleep at night? Do they go back underground to sleep, you know, and then come back up? And Michelle Gibson talks about something, mate, like 110 years, she reckons, they spent getting this realm ready for us.
Yeah. So at the end of the 1700s, and I'd say it's really the mid 1700s, it all starts to get very wishy-washy. Yeah. And then we look, and then around 1812, we have all these wars. We have Napoleon going on. We have wars in the US, all this kind of stuff. And and then there's no people in the cities. Then we get these pictures of empty cities, like literally completely built out cities, but empty, no people. And then as it goes forward, you start getting pictures of people in cities around the 1840s and 50s, but not many people, just pretty sparse, and they're all adults, no children. Okay, and then you hit the 1850s and 60s, and children start coming in. And the other thing about that date is that's also when these World's Fairs started, these things that are called World's Fairs.
Yeah,
And
that was the first World Fair, wasn't it, mate, in 1851 in
1851 in England, yep. And that's the one that had the famous Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Most World's Fairs had Crystal Palaces.
That's it. Even, mate, in Sydney, there was a Crystal Palace, bro, down in Rushcutters Bay.
Yep.
And whoa.
This is them trying out the tech that they found.
Oh, that's it.
Right? Because look at the amount of metal and just to design this carriage, imagine what would have had to go on in, from not knowing what a train is to designing and building this carriage. They did that, but they couldn't get the bridge right to carry the weight. Right? This is ridiculousness. And look at these people on their horses going, oh, crap, what happened? I mean, and these guys are like, oh, whoops, bring the crane in.
Wow.
Like, it's just, I mean, look at this. It's not like it happened once or twice. And if you look at, and trains are weird, because if you look back, there was this period where they were just smashing trains.
Yeah.
Like, all these trains were blowing up and stuff.
Just looks like they're getting rid of the evidence, brother. Getting
rid of the evidence, or they found tech that they didn't know how to use and they were trying to work it out and they ended up blowing heaps of it up.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's definitely, it doesn't suit the narrative that they could design and build this train from scratch, from an idea, but they couldn't get the bridge right. Right? It just doesn't make sense. What makes more sense is this was already here and this bridge was 500 years old and maybe needed a bit of maintenance, and they didn't know, they couldn't recognize it because they didn't build it. So they run a train across and it collapses.
Yeah.
Here's another one, right? Like literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Like so much of it.
Well, I've never thought of that. That's a really good take on it, mate. And that's one thing I reckon everyone has to do.
Oh, here we go. This is a prison ship.
Whoa.
They tell us, right? Look at that thing.
Wow.
So this is
great.
Now, I think this bit up the top, this is the equestrian exercise area for all the horses. That's sort of hanging out there washing. It's just,
yeah, wow.
And of course, we get these drawings like this, but then you see the photos and they're all a bit different. Like here we go. Here's all these orphans. Okay, so
wow.
So we'll talk about the orphans. So around the 1850s, the World's Fairs come in, and a thing about the World's Fairs is they have these things called infantoriums suddenly start popping up. They weren't at the original one, but they start popping up around the 1870s, 80s, and literally you could go to a World's Fair and you could get an infant. You could go and get a child and take it home. Yep. And I'm not kidding. And the numbers, that in 1 year back in the 1880s, they had 80,000 so-called premature babies in these infantoriums. 80,000. So we're supposed to believe in 1 year that 80,000 women gave up their babies for whatever reason. And there's another massive story behind stealing, children in the women's workhouses and all this kind of stuff. And what do we have on these boats? It's full of children.
And you see a lot of photos of the kids in factories.
All the workhouses, the factories, all full of kids.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Does it mean that the adults were so stupid that they couldn't really train them? But, kids are smart, we'll train them up. And these become the new population. This is what you do.
Isn't it just 2 generations, bro? And you can manipulate the whole
well, that's what
narrative.
I'd say it's 1.
Wow, that's even.
All you need to do is take that child away from its parents, and it only knows what you tell it. Right? And that's exactly what it looks like. Have these adults, no kids. Then suddenly we have kids everywhere, and kids are doing all the work. Like, look at this. This is the crew. Like half of them aren't even teenagers.
Wow. So yeah, these parents, do you think if they didn't go along with it, they've just thrown in these asylums, or if they had them stupefied? Because I think they were building a lot of distilleries and really pumping people full of alcohol around the same time.
Yeah, yeah. The breweries pop up everywhere. They're one of the first buildings
Yeah.
and distilleries. It was more what they were doing with they were stigmatizing the women, right? So basically, if you know, I mean, there was a lot of war and stuff going on, and I think a lot of men dying, and so we ended up with lots of single parents, right, mothers with kids. But then the story is, oh no, this is just some loose woman, who's been going around and she couldn't have and they even made them sometimes made them wear certain clothes if you were a single mother, so that everyone could look down on you. And so then they got it to a place where these women couldn't get work. They literally couldn't support their kid. So when they come the government and all these, children's services people, and they go, oh, you can't look after your kid. Tell you what, give it to us. We'll make sure it has a good life. Not we'll help you, just give us your kid. And that's what happened. And I'm sure lots were stolen. We've got the mental asylums, all these things. But yeah, it's pretty nefarious.
Yeah. Jerry Springer said in an interview, mate, you can look it up on YouTube, that his father,
Jerry Seinfeld, yeah.
Jerry Springer. Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld, sorry, mate, the sneaker man, Mr. Sanchez. Yeah, said his father in an interview that his father was from
orphan train, which is the next thing. After all these orphans were given out for free, and you seriously get these photos of adults holding babies, and they look like they don't know what a baby is, or they don't know what to do with it. But then we get orphan trains, and they started shipping kids out all over the place, all over the world. They were doing it by trains in the USA, but there were boats as well. There were orphan boats. They were sending them from England to America, from England to Australia to Asia. And they were just, see, this is another thing. So many people are tied to their story, to the story of their history. Unfortunately, for most people, that's going to be fake. It's a story. It's wrong. They're lying to you. And what they were doing is they were mixing populations up. And it's this thing, right? Because they wanted to create division. And they also wanted people to be in a place where they had no story, no connection. Right? They wanted to disconnect us all from the land. And so you can see this back in the 1800s, right? Nice old world building. And this happens so often now. Look at it, they just it's just standing there just as this old building. But we're supposed to believe that they built this, but then it's a wooden fence, right? Wooden fence. They couldn't build a brick wall.
Oh, you just got to see what their living conditions were like, mate, too. Like, there's plenty of old photos where you can see just these wooden huts they're living in and so forth. And then, like, look at that.
Look at that. Look at this. So what are they? I'm not sure exactly what they're pulling, but this is to get, obviously, what they're pulling there would be less than we'd put in a truck, right? So this is how they're transporting their goods, right? And this is what we're told they're building, this building in the background.
Wow. It looks pretty worn to me, that building, mate.
It's a bit old, isn't it, right?
Doesn't look too fresh. Needs a gurney. Needs a good
all these
gurney.
statues and all the facading, it's got nothing to do with the cities and the countries they're in, right? In Australia, we have these, what we're told is Roman or Etruscan or whatever looking statues. Why? That's got nothing to do with England, like who we were founded by, or nothing to do with Australia. So what are they all doing there? Same in America, you find them everywhere, including the Statue of Liberty, right?
Oh, it's sitting on a star fort.
Look at this, man-made walls. This is the Yarra River. It's got man-made, it's a canal. And they never tell us, they never talk about the canals, they never talk about the plumbing, right, for all these fountains.
And just think of the scale of the operation, mate, to be going on. It's not, like you said, this is worldwide. It's not just within one city or it's within one country. It's a worldwide event that they're building all these. It's hilarious, really. It's
I mean, you can see the build out in this picture. I mean, these are just houses. You can't see the city here. I think it's behind us. This is well, that's 1917, 1898. So 40 years,
yeah.
50 years after it was founded, it's just completely built out. I
Mm.
mean, it's not this photo, but you can see that's just full
And it
of
made
housing.
there's always a lot of like, look at these old photos, there's always a lot of horse tracks and like race car tracks and these circle tracks. Have you noticed that? Like, and like within Sydney, mate, there was like all these race tracks everywhere and horse tracks and, mate, whatever they were originally, they're not, in baseball fields, and they're making all these perhaps these games they're coming up with just to cover up a lot of areas. Golf
Yeah.
in particular, golf
Golf
courses covering
courses,
up just,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, all these, tracks, shall we call them? They're circuits, right? That's what a race course is. That's what a car racing. They're circuits. They go around a circuit, right? So it's
Correct.
and then all the like stadiums, right? And amphitheaters, amphitheater, amplifier. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get 100,000 people watching a football game, right? And they're all cheering. You can feel that.
Mm.
So they're much like speakers, right?
And
So
so I
the,
guess
all the
if you've got a population of like meat eaters vibrating really low, obese, going to watch the foosball, screaming and yelling, do you think that frequency is good for, the population?
exactly. Here's a bit of a picture. We can see that we get these all the time, that they'll tell us this is a
Wow.
construction photo, right?
Yeah.
So clearly, we've got two guys in suits standing here. There's no work going on. There's no tools. This is clearly finished, but it looks like they may have built this wall around the front. And why did they do that? Because this building sunk.
Yeah.
Sort of see through there. There's windows down in the ground there.
Well, mate, they're prepping for the stairs to go up too. All those buildings always got the stairs to go up.
And then look, this is all Australia. There was castles everywhere.
Unbelievable.
Man-made canals. It's and the other thing is, right, they tell us they built them all, and then what happened? Oh, 20 years later, oh yeah, we just knocked it over.
Yeah.
Didn't need it. Why not? This is Government House in Sydney.
Wow.
It's a castle.
Yeah.
That's what we're told is a castle, right? It's just when you start, it's like you say, it's hidden in plain sight. Unless you start to look, it's just the background. But once you look, once you see, you can't unsee. This stuff is
it's a real shift in perspective, isn't
it? It is. It's and I like it because there's so much stuff going on, and this talks about how we've been taken over.
Yeah.
By nefarious beings, and it's my opinion that they are not us, right? Because they don't act like us. They don't have our ethics. They don't have our morals. We know this. Humans don't start war. Does anyone know someone who's gone, oh, I think I'll go and start a war?
Yeah.
That'll be fun. We don't do this kind of stuff. Humans help each other. Humans see others in a bad position and they want to help them. The rulers don't want to help us. They're the opposite. So they are not us. So we've been taken over. As far as I'm concerned, we just have, and like I said, they've stolen the power, and it's really so that they can just, live basically, we know, right, in the castles that they stole with us as their slaves, giving them everything they need, and this is what's going on. We hear a lot about prison planet and slave species and all this kind of crap, which I believe. That's what they want, right? And we have been that for maybe the last 100 years or 200 years, but that's not who we are. That's what they want us to believe we are.
Yeah.
Okay, because if we believe it, then we live it, and if we live it, we create it. And that's why we have the schooling system, books, right? Even books, right? The media, all this stuff, telling us what reality is, telling us. This is who you are. This is what you are. This is what reality is. They just forget to mention how people carved buildings 5 stories underground.
Wow.
I mean, this is in India.
Yeah. If that's not a
It's-
great example of a, mud floodage.
exactly right.
But it looks like they're a combination of like weapons they've used, mate, because it looks like it's a bit like a lot of these buildings and even the mountains of like you see in America, where these looks like they've fizzled out or short circuited from bottom up rather than something penetrating them from above.
Hmm. Yeah, there's this thing called from the Vedas, they call it Samvatika fire, and it's basically plasma fire. I guess this is just a church, by the way. This is they found it. This was
That's
the level. They
great
dug it out.
example, bud. That's awesome, mate. Yeah.
So
And
this door,
that's the reality of all these buildings, mate, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
this tiny little peak here is the top of this door.
Yeah.
So you can see all
Wow,
this
look
stuff.
at this proper size of those doors. These were big people. That's really a 2-level building. You can see it might even go bigger, but
Easy. Yeah, it might be
you
more.
can see the size, mate. So if people, beings are walking around in buildings that size, it gives you an idea of how big they are.
Yeah, well, what about everything's oversized?
Yeah, and where, mate, giants. It's probably one of my all-time favorite topics too, mate. Like, where have they gone? Did they get buried?
Well,
Or have they gone further south in this realm, on the plane?
I would say there's still some giants around. We hear about the tall whites and all, and in a lot of stories and mythologies. There's Patagonia, the Patagonian giants, which is South America, and Mercator went there when he was drawing his maps and atlases, and says they were giants. They were 10 foot tall. So we have all this, and obviously we have all the legends, right? Jack and the Beanstalk,
Yeah.
5 friendly giants.
What about
BFG.
that one you can't find, that Johansson, the trip journey to was it the center of the earth by
Smoky God?
Yeah, the something Johansson.
Yeah, the Smoky God. Jansen. Can't remember what his first name was. But if you look up,
you cannot find that. Like, it's very difficult to find that now. I used to listen to that all the time.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
even that. Yeah. But what they've done with Trickley, mate, I reckon they've got another one with Jules that says it's written by Jules Verne, this Journey to the Center of the Earth.
yeah, right.
And I reckon they've rewritten it basically because there's just a lot of always talking about the planet and the planet and the planet.
Yeah.
Like just making sure people think they're living on a planet. But
Yeah, this is what they do, right? They change it. So in the Smoky God, that was sort of 1600s, I think, late 1500s. It was basically a father and son from Finland up in Scandinavia went sailing north.
Yeah.
They say it wasn't frozen. They were just, and all the old maps that we look at from that time, they don't show ice up there. They show more land up there. And they basically say that they went up, they passed a point and basically found more land, sailed in through a river system and got picked up by giants who were vegetarian, which you've mentioned before. They say they were just eating fruit, and stuff, and they just had high tech, but not what we think high tech is. They didn't have iPhones, right, and all this kind of crap. Just quickly, this is the street level. This below ground still got the glass in the windows and the door in the door frame, but that was below street level. So they had they had everything they wanted. They had free energy. They had these boats and flying machines and things, but it was all built around them. Stuff that would enhance their lives. It wasn't built around so that Mark Zuckerberg could steal all your information and try and control you more.
It's so sad, mate, what people accept these days. And look at that for a mud flooder, brother. Look at that, the windows in the ground. You can see that levels. You can see the top level's this big, the second level's that big, the third level is that big, really little, and it's sunken.
Built on an angle. That's a bit of a window there.
And the stairs going up. Look at those windows, bro. As you keep going up, they keep getting further
Oh,
buried.
that's literally at ground level there. And then what, 6 foot off the ground.
And this is what you see, hey mate, like just walking around your cities, it's everywhere. Go and have a look, and then you'll realize that wow, we've been lied to.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of this? I mean, that wouldn't be hard. That would be a hard job to whack that balcony on there. Is that just what? So that someone could come out and speak to their people or something? I mean, it's not big enough to put a chair on. It's like, what is that? And of course, like I said, the symbology, unicorns and lions and things. What's that got to do with Australia?
Mm.
So
A lot of
we're
clocks
clearly,
too, bro. They keep putting clocks in the top of those buildings. Everyone loved to know the time.
you've got to know when it's time to be at work and when it's time to go home. Right. I've got a friend and he says never be on time. He says when you're on time, the archons know where you are.
Mm.
Because that's what they want you doing, right? They want you walking around on a schedule, going to work. They tell you, what are you doing? I'm going to work because I'm a baker. Why? They told me that. I went to 12 years of school to work that out, and now I pay tax every year. What for? I don't know. So the rich, these people get richer. I mean, what do we get for any of this stuff? I mean, this is again, right?
That's a great
Glass.
example. Look at that. Look at those doors, bro, in the middle there.
You can see this was a bigger
The
door.
trouble they've gone to look, just remember 110 years. That's how much time they've had to prepare
Dig
this.
everything out.
The narrative, the narrative of the art work. The narrative of our history. They've had to prepare all that, but there's so many holes in the history that we're starting to find.
Exactly, because they didn't do a good job of it. That they rushed and they were really just they treat us like we're stupid. This is the other thing. There's another quote in the Bible that says, "You will know them because they will be arrogant," and I always remember that. And it's talking about the Antichrist and the evil ones. You'll know them because they're arrogant, and look around. Who's arrogant?
Yeah.
Right. That's all. And this is their downfall as well, because they're so arrogant. They think they're so smart and we're so dumb. But look what's happened in the last year.
Yeah, bro. It seems to be working against them, hasn't it? Like this internet that they've brought out. Look at us now. We're making videos and showing people. And mate, like it was so encouraging to go to the markets today and the feedback. Like, mate, I'm doing a presentation next week, brother. I'm really excited about it. It's my first ever presentation, and I'm a bit of a nervous wreck. It's going to be like we've got a bit of I've just went to the mow and made 10 people I just sort of bumped into said they're going, and that's the only people I know that are going. So that was really nice. And people
You're doing a live event?
Yeah, bro. So I'm going to do a meditation with a bit of, this is one of my guitars, a bit of 432 hertz. So a bit of it's out of tune. But yeah, mate, I'm doing my first presentation and I'm following a lot of work, as you know, mate. I love Santos's work, Santos Panacci. So I'll be talking about like all is atum, etymology, history. I'm going to be mentioning you a lot, brother. And, talking about all the stuff that we talk about. And there's a real thirst for it, mate. It's so incredible, it's so encouraging, like people are like, I'll be there. That sounds great. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I've
been thinking about doing a live one too. I think I'm the only person in Perth that I can get to talk though, but because, Martin Leakey had an event, a proper event 6 months ago. So I definitely want to do stuff like that.
Your work's amazing, brother. I think it's the more you can do, the better.
It's an easy way to get under the radar. You don't have to talk to people about, oh look, they're all P-files, or they're all black magics, worshippers, or they're this, or all the bad stuff. You can go, look what we used to be.
Yeah,
we can get back there again. Look how amazing this is.
Yeah.
Now, what's happened is it's only been 100 or 200 years, and these people have come in and tricked us, but now we can see it. So let's kick them out and let's go back here.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, man.
I mean, and this is right, the Atlas building. What's Atlas got to do with Australia? Well, this is Perth, where I live, or was. And oh no, I think it is still there. But Atlas, right? What does Atlas hold up?
globe.
What are we told Atlas holds on his shoulders, right? We're told it's the world,
Mm.
the ball, right? That's not true. That's a lie.
Yeah.
The old statues of Atlas, what he was holding is the horoscope, the sky.
Wow, that's cool.
You see a ball, and in the ring of it, you've got the 12 zodiacs. That's
Mm.
what he was holding up, the sky, the zodiacs.
Yeah.
So
And
this
that's what,
they change and invert.
mate, you've referred to the Bible a few times, and again with Santos, he really talks about the Bible just being like it's all about astrology.
Yeah, I'm not affiliated with any kind of formal religion. I don't believe in control structures, but that doesn't mean the information in the books is bad. What's bad is when you get an old man in a dress who reads the book and then comes out in front of you and tells you this is what it means and this is what you must believe. Do not interpret this yourself. This is what it means or you're going to hell.
Yeah, an old man in a dress. I like
Old
it.
man in a dress, yeah, with a funny hat on. This is the thing, right? Why do we look up to these stupid old men who wear dresses?
I know, like I've said to you before, how funny was it, mate, when people used to get married, like couples used to go to these priests for marital advice. A guy who sits at home like in his undies all night by himself.
By himself, never had a relationship.
Yeah.
Never been with a woman, apparently. But yeah, no, it's like, I want to be rich. How do you make money? I'm going to go and talk to the homeless dude on the corner. It doesn't make sense at all. And this is just a pic, but this is what they were doing. You can see this was clearly up against another building. Right? So this was a built out block, and this is what you see a lot. They just smash everything down and they might leave one random building there.
Wow.
Just
yeah. Once upon a time in America, great movie, mate. I suggest people, like, it's on Netflix, I think, with Robert De Niro. But mate, it's set in the 1920s, but these buildings, mate, within the movie, it's like, yeah, so much Tartaria there in the background, bro. I'm like, wow, they've just literally, like, they don't need a movie set. They've got one.
And that's the funny thing. I mean, this is obviously people digging out massive oversized columns with shovels. These pictures that we find from sort of 1910, 1920 and that, there's still small populations, but they're really weird because they seem to be that time when they're finished cleaning the cities up and all the buildings look clean. The streets look clean and that there's not many people and they look like movie sets.
Yeah,
they look like movie sets.
Yeah, there's lots of photos with that evidence, mate. Yeah,
it's just bizarre. So when you start looking back, I mean, here we go, train tracks. Right?
Yeah, train tracks, bro. Digging them up.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone seriously believes that they have dug down here, laid these tracks, and then come back and dumped dirt over them and compacted it down, I have no idea what to say to you. This is being dug out.
100.
So
yeah,
this is what we get. Picture from 1836, right? You can see these two columns is the top of these, and you can even see where the dirt was. This building here, you can kind of see a bit of the wall there, right? This is what it was in 1836. This is it today.
Wow.
I mean, what's that, 10, 12 foot lower? They've dug it out.
So cool.
And we see this a lot.
Yeah.
Now, here's a photo from back in the day.
Yeah, look at that mountain in the background too. That looks like a building.
Looks like a person almost, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, what's that?
Yeah.
But yeah, mountains, that's another. And this is the other thing. There's so many things connected. We have the giant trees. We have, people talk about plasma and plasma apocalypse or plasma event, which could have caused, a lot of the mountain ranges and gorges that we see.
Yeah.
Around the earth. So, and of course, we just get ruins everywhere, right? And why are the ruins always underground? I mean, we know that all ruins are buried, right? Because if they weren't, we would see them, right? Clearly. But we never ask the question why they were all underground. They go, oh, it was built 5,000 years ago. Oh, well, why did the why did the level of the ground rise, 10, 20, 30 feet in 5,000 years? Where's the, they don't have the answer.
Mm.
Or they won't let us know what the answer is, that's for sure.
Well,
And of
that's
course,
the-
the other thing,
yeah.
right, no one can go and dig here. No one. If you walk in there, you'll be arrested unless you've been to one of their schools and you have their point of view because you got educated by them. Then you can go in, and because you'll tell the story they want you to tell.
Exactly.
If you can think, they won't let you in there because you'll be asking too many questions.
Oh,
Right?
we'd be their worst nightmare. We'd get kicked out first day of archaeology school.
Yeah, I wanted to be an archaeologist.
Same,
and,
mate. It's so funny. Me too. I was like, I used to
and I
tell
almost
people
went
that's
there,
what I
and
want to do.
I realized before I started, luckily, that it was just a scam. I read stories. There was that lady archaeologist, and she found, I can't even remember what she found. I think it was an old skeleton or something. And it basically just didn't fit their narrative. And they said, oh, well, you can't print that. You've got to say it was this. And she went, nah. And so she's never worked again. They blacklist you.
Yeah.
They put out their name and they say, if anyone hires this person, we will cut your funding. We will make you look bad. She's not allowed to work ever again in this industry. And this is what happens when you have a different point of view, you're silenced. That's why there's only one point of view. And this is why people argue and they go, but, well, but how about you go and do some research for yourself and turn the telly off? Because when you're getting information from the telly or from the internet or from a book or from wherever, if you don't check your sources, you're being told something. It's an opinion, right? It's an opinion. And the world at the moment, unfortunately, is run by people who have someone else's opinion and they think it's fact. That's a very big problem. Even the Great Wall of China, this thing is sunk. And another thing about the Great Wall of China, apart from the fact that it's not the only Great Wall, we have quite a few of these. One in India, there's one in Russia. All the gates and turrets are facing the wrong way. So basically, it's built so that you can shoot into China, and people from China, there's no gates on the Chinese side, but you can get in from the Russian side. So it's not the Great Wall of China. It's not built for China to keep people out. It's built by the other side to keep the Chinese out. Just by the way it's constructed, it's not because of the doorways and things. And so they just give us this story and everyone believes it and they don't look for themselves. And then they go around and they tell their kids and they tell other people and they read a book put out by the mainstream and they suddenly think they're so smart. And then they go out and
mate, it's so annoying, bro. Fuck, that does my noodling, mate.
I read a book though.
Yeah.
And I go, really? Well, explain why these windows are clearly under the ground. You can see stairs and that clearly goes down underwards. They've had to put a barrier here to stop the water going in.
Oh no, they had their basements, bro. Their basements.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's basement. Oh, you don't understand. They didn't have refrigeration. They had to keep their beer and food underground.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to dig a hole with a shovel? It's different today when we've got backhoes and massive machinery and they always put a car park underneath, but underneath buildings. But back in the day, no. I mean, look at this. Arches all the way along, and they've got
under
a
a roadway. Yeah.
Like we're living the bones of the past. India. I could tell you that was in London and you would believe me.
Yeah.
That has no place at all being in India, as far as what we're told India is.
But yeah, you'll see that same architecture all around the world. It's crazy. Look at that. Wow.
Mudflood.
Floodage.
So this is what can happen. This is just from an event. And you can see that's 3-4 foot of rubble and mud. So,
and liquefaction, mate, that's a form of like when an earthquake occurs, the ground can actually liquefy. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it shakes really, really fast. And so basically it makes all the molecules separate and it turns to like quicksand and things sink. And that, I mean, we do have things like, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and all these other buildings everywhere that are on angles.
Yeah.
And the thing is with liquefaction is it doesn't you know, I'm still not sure about it because buildings don't sink down flat. They normally go on angles. But what we're finding out now is that some of these buildings, they may be, you know, we don't know, 4, 5, 6 stories or more below ground.
Yeah,
If they were, then they wouldn't bend, would they? They'd just be filled up around. So the ones that had less foundation would bend, but most of them wouldn't. I mean, and look at this. I mean, okay, so this is the train tracks, right? Again, way down here.
Yeah.
Let's dig them all out. And we have this church sitting up here. I mean, it is sitting on a big sort of foundation, but it's empty under here. So I'm not really sure what's going on with this picture.
That one's a bit of a weird one, isn't it, mate?
It is a weird one.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe this bit was on columns and there's something under, I just don't know, but it literally looks like it's just
been chopped off.
There, doesn't it? You know, just like a toy.
Oh, brother, have you seen that sculpture called the Awakening, the big giant in the ground in America?
It rings a bell. Is it? It's like it's hands on it.
Yeah, it's like its hands and a face, but it's like 70 feet. But just the face looks like, mate, to get this sort of expression on something that size, wow, I'm impressed. But yeah, it looks real. Look at that one. Yep.
All pubs, right?
Yeah.
Especially, and of course, everything's red brick. Everything's red brick. You can see here they're bricked in with cinder block because they didn't have red brick left. These are the old windows, and this is half a door. And they always tell us, "Oh no, that's where they put the beer. That's where they put the brewing barrels down, mate. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's the answer.
It's got to be.
It's got to be, right? It's all about beer.
Yeah.
This is just a street. Moscow's amazing, and Russia, because Russia, as far as we can tell, was pretty much one of the hearts of Tartaria, or whatever this civilization was called. Obviously, Michelle talks a lot about the Moors and the Moorish civilization.
Yeah.
Which would have been a previous sort of civilization that all this tech sprang from. But I mean, look, yeah.
Even there, you can see all the windows in the ground. Look at the giant doors, bro.
Doors.
Wow.
And the arc, look, this again, this should be in Greece or Rome, right? Look at all the columns and the column. It's all the same. Yeah, look at this massive archway. That archway is like 3 stories high.
Yeah.
These things.
Again, no power tools, mate. Horse and cart. Like
cranes. How are they getting all this stuff up 5 stories up off the ground? And these aren't even stories. These are like 15, 20 foot stories, so it's twice what we would think.
Have you been to Italy or anything? Have you spent much time in Europe at all, bro?
Not yet, no, but I'm going to.
Mate, when I went to Italy, probably was about 6 years ago, mate, the size of these sculptures in the street, like my heart, it skips a beat, mate. The scale, and I knew then something was up, but I had Tartaria. I think I was about a year away from finding out about Tartaria, so I was just about to find out. I was like, I wish I knew then. Yeah.
But here's one of the railways.
Yeah, just digging up a bit of railroad.
Of course it was there. Of course we put them there. All right.
And we built the foundries to make all the iron. And all the timber. The timber had to just mate, like I make guitars, and you've got to prepare the timber before it's usable. So a lot of this timber has to be like, you'd have to put it in. It'd have to be seasoned, and they're using hardwood. It's got to be seasoned, mate. You just can't cut a tree down and use it.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be fresh wood. Yeah, I know. And then you need to, machine it and mill it and thickness it and all this stuff.
Yeah. And they can't use no tools to Australia.
But we're told back in the day it was all, dovetail joints and mortises and stuff, all these intricate, just, fixings and connections that, I mean, it would have taken a lot of time. I mean, I'm not sure what this is, but it's destroyed. And this is the thing, right? I don't know where this is, because this could literally be in any country, because this is where these buildings are. They're everywhere. But if you look up here, this is a fully iron frame. This is an iron frame. right? Sitting on top of this massive masonry. Who built all the iron?
You can see
And we
again,
talk
it's
about-
buried, bro. Look at the size of the stories. 1 story, 2 story, 3. That's like half under.
Half story.
Yeah.
And with Antiquitech,
No
everyone's
wonder it
always,
took 110 years to prepare it all for us, mate.
yeah, a lot of, I think a lot of these buildings,
Fuckery.
they destroyed them with war, that's what war is.
Exactly.
War is just a cover up to destroy the old world.
Yeah.
And to get us,
And world fairs.
yep. But it was all tech. And this is a free energy antenna. These are like resonators.
Yep.
And this iron framework, this would have worked as a circuitry.
Yep.
In the charge down into everything. We've got pictures of columns, the columns you see everywhere that are broken and they got metal in them. They got metal rods in them.
And people new to this subject, mate, probably don't understand that as you get higher in the ether off the ground, the charge in the ether actually increases. So the
It's
higher,
around 100 volts per meter, I believe. So the higher you go up, literally, the more energy you can suck out of the atmosphere.
yeah, and that's what they were doing.
Yep, that's what they were doing. I mean, this is a picture, right? This is, I think it's Philadelphia, this one, isn't it?
Wow, check that, man. Far out. That's so amazing. Gee.
Mid cleanup.
Oh, great photo, bro. Wow. Sends shivers down the old spinal cord, mate.
It does. Well, we're told that, everything, nothing got buried and the story is, there's some nice land. So someone turns up and starts a farm and then more people go, oh, that's good. So they start farms and then someone, goes, oh, well, I'll start a horseshoe business because you need horse and then more industry and then builds into a town, right? And then it builds into with these cities.
That's the narrative we've been slung. Yeah.
That's the narrative. But look at this.
Yeah, there's the truth.
This is the truth. Like massive cities that have been blown apart, that are being dug out of the ground. And all our cities are built on grids.
Yeah.
If a city builds up, like organically, right? Like they tell us, it wouldn't be on a grid.
So true. Michelle Gibson's work really, she harnesses that topic really well, or should I say she delves into that topic and explains it really well for anyone who wants to know more. Again, Michelle's, she's up, mate. She's up there with one of the best researchers, I reckon, too.
She's great because she's got a very analytical mind. She's very good with facts and laying things out, and she'll show you, here's a tower in, Florida. Oh, and look, here's one in Bangladesh, and they look exactly the same. Like she finds these buildings that look exactly the same. But yeah, she's really good with timelines. She talks about
time, bro. Back to the Future stuff, hey? Oh, just again, so interesting, hey? A split in the time shift continuum, basically, mate. And the fabric of time, they explain it, which again, the fabric of, I think about that, mate. Do you think the fabric is the dome and the split is the, the Aurora Borealis, something like that?
I think time is a perception and we've been programmed with it. That's like before you said, they put clocks everywhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All about 12 hours, 24 hours, be here, be there.
Great point.
And look where we are now, right? With what's going on at the moment, what's happening with time now that no one's going to work at the same time every day and coming home and doing things at the same time. Time's not what time used to be, because we've lost that perception. We don't believe it anymore. So I believe that I believe everything is happening now, but down here in this experience, we need linear time to experience this reality, but it's been completely messed with. The timelines have been messed with. With research, you'll find out that the Dark Ages never existed. There was 1,000 years added to our calendar.
I and the J at the front of these.
J, yep.
A lot of buildings, John Levy's work shows, mate, a lot of these buildings just without the I and the J, and it'll just say like 978 on the front of buildings. He's demonstrated that in one of his recent videos, which is
there's footage from New York, and at the end of the tram terminal. There's also a good picture from France that shows a building
Wow.
And it shows you one date, and then and then the next one they've like put an M in front of it, you know, for the Roman numerals 1,000, and it's just like, come on, guys. But look at this, yeah, the whole, it's just completely sunk. And this is what they've built up, you know, stairs up to the top.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah. Dig it out a little bit.
And you know, again, horse and cart, right? This is how they did it. So it's none of it makes sense. Look at this guy. He's going, why is there a door going underground? I don't know.
Yeah.
We just and clearly, like, look at the height. This is the dude's head. You know, it's too low. That's not a level.
Well, that's where they go. Oh, people were much smaller then.
Yeah, well, I think we had bigger and smaller people.
I do too, bro. Yeah.
We've got tons of pictures of giants, the sort of 8-9 footers. Like, we've got heaps of them from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then they disappear, right? Well, either that or they all became basketballers. We're not sure, because we still have, you know, Andre the Giant.
Is that why basketball was invented? Just to cover the
That's what Michelle's thrown that out. Yeah, is that what they're there for? Is it because to hide stuff?
Yeah.
Sorry, messaging me. I just turned.
Well, I think a lot of these games and stuff were for that reason, mate. You know, the probably, like I touched upon before, these tracks. You know, let's just race horses around them. Let's just race cars around them. You know, that's a good idea.
We make money out of it.
Yeah, and it's funny how when all these trams and stuff, they, you know, stop worldwide, and Henry Ford starts making his motor vehicles. Apparently, he was burning down railroads as well, mate, at the time.
Yeah, well, the Rockefellers, a name a few people may know.
Wow, look at that.
The story is that they, first of all, they were in, you know, it says, oh, they went and they helped build and fund a lot of these tram tracks and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then the story is, they suddenly owned them all, right? They bought up whatever they didn't own, and then they just destroyed them all and brought in buses that burnt fuel, you know, petrol and oil.
Yeah. And they make money off that.
Yeah, and they make money off that. They pollute, you know, put pollution out by that. You know, it's much more geared to, you know, less exercise will take you closer. You know, trams just used to be to get you in the vicinity, and then you would walk. Exercise, right?
Yeah.
Have trains to go from city to city. You know, you'd have the canals, you know, to go further, and for transport, you would have maybe airships. Who knows, right? To go overseas.
Well, vanilla sky is an interesting topic.
Vanilla skies.
Yeah. Why were they vanilla skying all the photos, bro? You can see it there. It looks like it's been done too. What are they hiding in the sky?
Just means, it means when they white out the sky. And even on this photo, if I zoom in, can you see this around the edge of this building?
Yeah, it looks like it's been like.
You see that?
Yeah, look, doesn't look right.
Like it's been altered or something,
or it looks photoshopped or something. Yeah.
Because even down here, you can see there's lines and stuff in this background. It's not like it's just a washed out white, because they'll always say it's from exposure. Oh no, you got to expose a camera. You know, photography was different. They overexposed everything. Oh really? Well, why is this so dark?
Yeah.
Why is this so dark if this is overexposure? It doesn't make sense. I mean, look at how black this bit in here is.
Yeah.
Overexposure means you get too much light into the photo and everything is too light, right? It all comes off light, and they say, well, that's why you can't see it. Well, explain that.
Yeah, good point, mate. And look at those windows, stairs going up, windows in the ground. That's a real good one again about the size of the levels, mate. You can clearly see that that whole level's buried. And then, like you demonstrated, you showed in those pics, we know what's underground. There's more levels clearly, and they build the stairs going up.
Yep. That's windows down.
Look, that's up. What we're talking about.
Old royal building. Literally glass in the windows, and this was all underground. Yeah. So that's
street level over there, bro. You can see to the left where the crane is. There's street level.
Yeah, here,
yeah. There's the road.
All these people who go, oh, you're silly. It was just built as a cellar. It was to keep their food and their beer. Oh, really? So why'd they put windows and doors in there then? That doesn't make sense at all. If you're building a cellar, solid, thick walls, because they say, well, it's to keep things cold because it's under the ground. Well,
Fucking
this,
hell, excuse my language, mate. But as you know, once you start building things like touching, like the earth touching a building, it's just going to create damp issues and problems. And as soon as like just, it's just going to encourage erosion. And you know, it's so stupid to
we
think.
see it all the time. And
Yeah,
that's why around all these mud flood windows, and, I encourage everyone to go out into their city and have a walk around, check out the windows, and you'll see they build little sills around them, like little gutters around them to keep the water from touching the window, because you don't build a window going into the ground. If you do, the water gets on it and it just shoots straight down the glass, straight into the wall, and you get rising damp.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but we know this. This is a problem with buildings they build today. If they're not done properly, if they're not waterproof properly, the houses become unlivable because they fill up with mold.
Yeah, that's it. Mold.
It's just dumb.
Is that a
This is an
giant?
old picture
Wow,
of
that's
Rome,
cool.
right? Apart from the fact that these people are a little large, this is what they were building, right? It's the same stuff. Big walled city, massive cathedrals, domes, rotundas, spires, columns, man-made canals, bridges. It was all there,
Yeah.
all there. And Rome, in fact, oh, there you go, one of mine. Rome was actually dug out in the 1800s. It was completely flooded.
Wow.
Another mud flood window here, and you can see the size of this window, which is of course all bricked in now.
Yeah.
So, what have we got here? Another 20 foot underground.
Yeah.
And castles, spires, these statues that have no, they got nothing to do with the civilizations that they're in.
Yeah, and mate, some of these old buildings, like these, there's a channel called Bros of Decay where they go into old buildings. They don't really know what they're looking at, but a lot of these buildings, the power still works.
Yep. There's some really good channels that are like explorer type channels.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Abandoned castles and mansions and things. Some of them go down into tunnels.
Oh, yep.
And some of those are just ridiculous when you find out what's actually going on underground. There may be a whole nother civilization running.
Mate, it appears like as bizarre as it seems, man. That just seems like what's going on. That's what's happened. Like I said to you before, where did we come from, mate? It looks like, have we come from further lands out further on the realm, or have we come from underground?
I think that we were here, or maybe in outer lands, because that's another thing. When you start looking into maps, they all show more land. The further back you go, obviously, if you've looked into the shape of the realm, you'll know that there's probably more land. Admiral Byrd.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's definitely more land, brother.
And they talk about the dome and the firmament. So is this like one little part of a bigger plane that was sectioned off? And we were brought in from somewhere else. And now all the lands on the outside, they can't get in, we can't get out, because of course we're not allowed to go to Antarctica or to the Arctic. If you try and go there, you'll be met by the Army and the Air Force and the Navy, and they will, if you don't turn around when they tell them, they will blow up your boat. Yeah, they will shoot down your plane.
And if you want to go to Antarctica, mate, like it's very expensive for one, and I think there's 15 different tour operators that apparently do tours there, but it's all owned by the one guy.
Yeah. And then apparently the place they take you, there's like one little point that comes out, and so if you're going there at all, it's on the very sort of out a tip that's as far from Antarctica as you can get.
I met he's a world famous neurosurgeon actually, and I met him at a school function. He was one of the dads actually, and this is back when I lived in Sydney. And mate, he said he went to Antarctica, and I laughed, and he knew straight away. He just sort of looked at me and goes, "No, well, I didn't go. You don't go to Antarctica." He goes, "You just go on a little peninsula bit." And it was like he was just disappointed, mate.
He spent all his money. He didn't have a good story to tell. That'd suck. I mean, like the Falkland Islands, right? I mean, why? I mean, Go and check out where the Falkland Islands are. Those things are in the middle of nowhere, down near Antarctica, off the coast of South America. But everyone knows about the Falklands War, right? Fought by the English. That place is as far from England as you can get. What was there a war on in the Falkland Islands? No one lives there. Why was there a war there? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what's going on there?
You know, and then we hear about all these, you know, deletes and actors and all these types. They're always going to Antarctica. Always.
Always.
You know, so what is going down in Antarctica? Like I said, is there more land? I mean, it looks like there's more land on both, not ends, but, you know, at both extremities. So, you know, the whole shape of the world, we're not even really sure if it's a disc with Antarctica in the middle. When you really look into it, it's, you know, with Hyperborea and all the stories, it seems that the Arctic is more like a gateway to another land. You know, it's where more land starts. So it's not like it's this. I don't know if it is. The maps we've got of where we are completely off.
That's it, bro. That's one thing we just don't sort of know, do we, mate? I think
the Arctic there, but they tell us it's in the middle. But I think it's, you know, our land masses kind of go around like that, and it's kind of there. But it then there's more of it. If it's hard to explain, I have to do a video on it. But yeah, definitely, it's not. And we know they've found the ice, the dome wall.
Yeah. Well, there's encyclopedias from the fort. I think there's encyclopedias from the 50 that actually show latitude and longitude, and they refer to the height, and they know the dome heights, bro.
Yep, indeed. Yep, they know the circumference, the height. Say they had Operation Fishbowl and Operation High Jump. Yep. They've shot nukes at it. And the story is that when you blow a hole in it, it repairs itself.
Wow.
It just repairs itself. And then we have these things of what's it, sky ice, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Blue glass stuff.
I think you did a bit on that.
Yeah, you find it everywhere. It just falls from the sky, apparently. Right?
Nice. And
so, you know, who knows? Because the way I see it is, I think we can see a part of the dome, but if it's a big dome, I think the dome's bigger and I can't even say the word, encompasses, I'll say that, more land than we're told.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we can only get to one part of the dome. We can't get to the other part because you got to go through other lands, right? So that's why the dome we can get to is at one point on, you know, in the Antarctica. And that's where they are. That's where they are, down where that edge of the dome is, trying to get through.
Yeah, man.
That's why we don't hear about them out, you know, sidewards of, you know, South America or these other places where we know the ice wall is, because we've got photos of the ice wall. We've got video of it going back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
This is Paris.
Look at that.
This was called the Hole of Paris, and they dug it out and they found the whole city was built on another city.
Yeah.
Columns down here. This, you know, is a big machine. So you can imagine how big that hole is.
Wow.
And this is what we find. It's just built on the bones of a bigger civilization. So I think we're probably genetically altered, shrunk, changed into something that they thought was more controllable, but it didn't work because we've got connection to source and they don't. That's why they're not like us. That's why they don't have morals. They don't have ethics. They don't care because that they have no connection, right? They're like a annoyed little kid in a sandbox who's lost their toy.
Yeah,
right? They just want to, you know, and so that's why they're jealous of us. That's why they do all these things. Because at the end, that's it. They're jealous that they're not us and that they don't have the connection. So they figure if they can rule us and build this fake world and get us to believe it, then they become the gods. They want to be gods on earth, right? That's why they're building fake creation.
Yeah, and they're just happy. See, what do you think they take up a physical being, or they have the capacity to, you know?
So I look at these windows. So I would say,
yeah,
I would say it's. Cool. if you look into the Essenes, they talk about the demiurge, and if Book of Enoch in the Bible, that talk about archons. Archon, of course, means leader or ruler. That's why anarchy or anarchy is against the rulers. Oh, well, it's not actually against the rulers. It just means I don't want rulers. I don't need them. Go away. So I believe that it's an entity, like not a physical entity, like a parasitic mind entity, and is what we're dealing with. And you can call it the devil or whatever you want to call it. And it can persuade people, right? It can go and whisper in people's ears and say, oh, look at, Mr. King, or, your neighbor there, he's getting an army, he's raising an army, he's going to come and attack you. Or if you don't do something, if you don't attack him first, then he's going to kill you and take all your stuff. So you better get, and they do. And so then this is how they start wars, right? Because it doesn't want to be the war. This entity doesn't want to be the king. It just wants to control the king, right? So they sit in the background. I call them the whisperers. And these people, a lot of people choose to worship this entity. And when they do, they become its slave and its worker.
They're like the puppeteers, bro, of this theater, just pulling the strings of the puppets, the Elon Musks, the president, or the presidents, the prime ministers, all these people.
The world on the stage.
Yeah.
The authors, right? Or the authority.
I loved your one about inventory, bro. Sorry to interrupt. Inventory, like inventions.
Yeah.
Inventions comes from the word inventory. So have they just been releasing, inventions when they feel fit, or in accordance?
So they stole it all.
Yeah.
And they keep it from us, and when they figure they can make money off it and not give out too much info, then they release it, and it's an invention. But it's just something that they went into a warehouse and got from the inventory.
Yeah,
it's all in there. It's like media. Media comes from Medea, the goddess Medea, which is the goddess of illusion.
Yeah.
Of course, what do they do in the media when they have news? They broadcast.
That's it.
They cast a broad spell.
Love it.
And of course, all shows and all these things are made up by a cast, right?
Yeah.
Cast of actors.
And the Hollywood is like the Druids were making their wands from the holly tree, and now it's Hollywood casting their spells.
Exactly, right? That's why you go to the casting couch, right? And that's why you have acting, commissioners and acting officers. They're acting, right? I'm just an acting sergeant. Oh, so you're not a sergeant, you're just pretending to be, are you? Well, how do you say that? I'm acting. Yeah, I know. I mean, and they don't even understand what it means. Half these police and these idiots, they don't get it. They'll sit there with a straight face and go, I'm an acting this. Yeah. And if you say, why are you acting, mate? Why can't you just speak the truth? They won't understand what you're talking about because they are so brainwashed. Yeah. And this is the thing as well, is this is how they get us, right? They make people think that they're smart, and they give them a position and they give them a bit of authority. I'm a policeman. Oh yeah, I'm a policeman. I get to do what I want. And so then they've got something to hold on to, right? Something to defend. So when someone says, hey, look, maybe that's wrong and the world isn't like that, they go, oh, how dare you? I'm a policeman. Come on, I have a gun and I tell people what to do. Or I'm a banker. Oh, look at my wealth and my big yacht and my furrows of worry. Give people something to lose. Yeah. And they'll defend it. And this is the spell. This is what they're doing.
Yeah, mate. And you've got like the American dream, this analogy or this picture they paint for us, like that, everyone wants to live the American dream, but I just love that you've got to be asleep to live the dream.
Exactly right. That's why it's called a dream. Got to be asleep to believe it.
Yeah.
You got to be asleep to believe that this dude here built this, and people like him.
Yeah.
And horse and cart sunk into the ground.
He's genuflecting to the, or he's doing a little bow to the camera.
Photo. And this is another thing about all these old photos, so many of them. We call them photo opportunities. Everyone in the photo is looking at the camera.
Yeah.
You don't get that when you're just taking a picture of a street.
Staged.
They're staged. They are staged. Look at this tower.
Yeah.
Right. Talking about free energy. What do you think this thing is?
Yeah, look at that on the top. Look at that Antiquitech. That's just, it's a combination of just both beauty and
and function.
Function, yeah. And
Function,
like,
they understood.
they understood, bro. And the thing is, they understood the grid we live on, and they understood the stars above. So as
Yeah.
above, so below, and they got it.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. All they were really doing is just emulating nature. And all the best inventions do, right? So Victor Schauberger with his experiments on water, he did that by watching rivers. All these things, with cymatics and Professor Emoto, Dr. Emoto,
Yeah.
he was looking at what people did with their water and why do these people pray to their water? So he started doing experiments and he found that because it changes the structure of the water, right? And so these people, they went, oh, there's an energy grid here. Wow, if we build on these certain points, we will, we'll start off with an advantage. We'll already have good energy. And then we can attune to it and we can amplify it and we can then connect up cities and we can get a grid that covers the whole realm that enhances it for everyone. And I mean, this picture I love because this is actually Perth.
Yeah.
Massive flood.
Look behind it.
This is what they build now is this poo. Square glass pieces of crap.
Yeah.
And we know, look at all the fluorescent lighting in there. It's bad for you. We know this. Sitting in rooms with 90-degree square corners is bad for you. It's been proven, right? So all this stuff is they're not giving you
that concrete we're using is 100 years at last these days. So
yeah. So they used to use what was called Portland cement, and they used you could Portland cement sets underwater as well. So this is how they were building bridges and stuff.
Wow.
But the older it gets, the harder it gets.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Buildings that they had a real trouble knocking them down.
Oh, wouldn't it?
Literally, when you look into it, it would have been more effort to knock the thing over than it would have been to build it because some of these buildings have walls that are 3 and 4 foot thick.
Yeah.
They have foundations that are ridiculous.
No wonder it took the 100 years, mate.
Right? A human, I don't know if you could pay a human enough to go and knock this over. There's no way. That's why we know that these people who are trying to rule us, they're not us. Because we see that as amazing and beautiful. They see that as, that's something that we can't do. So let's destroy it and replace it with something we can do. And we'll pretend that we're the creators. Look at this. It's got a whole level down here.
Yeah. And that looks under mud as well.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. Half a window there, maybe.
Yeah. Wow.
Just and of course, all these pictures, where are the people? Tennessee State Capitol, 1860.
Look at that. Built that with all that mud work around it. Yeah.
Yeah. You build the building before you get the roads up there to get the materials there, of course. Come on.
Are they tents?
Yeah, I know, right? And this is wood.
Yeah.
So this is what they could build.
That's it. That's what they were living in, brother.
They were living in that and they were cleaning this up.
Yeah. That's the reality, guys. That's the reality, guys. Yeah. And mate, how long do you think Tartaria existed for? Like to build such an advanced civilization and do you think they were around for 10,000 years or
at least
100,000 years?
At least 3,000 or 4,000, just based on what we know about Atlantis and Lemuria. Atlantis is basically, it wasn't an island; it was a civilization.
Yep.
And as far as we can find out, with different books and the Oralinda book and other bits and pieces, they say it was sort of maybe sort of 3,000 years ago that it went under. And so I'd say that and then that could be Lemuria as well, like a really, really high tech civilization, much bigger people. The fairy tale, that was the fairy tale land that we're told doesn't exist. Yeah. But they tell us the news is real and fairy tales are false, but it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and then I think, then that they sort of rebuilt, all this civilization probably 2,000 years ago. So this would have been functioning at least a couple of thousand years. And then around the 1300s in our timeline, something happened, 1400s. big cataclysm. And I tend to think that it might have been natural, and that these people just took advantage. Right? They just took advantage. They
How could they get rid of it? Like, to get rid of giants, mate, they wouldn't, like, big people, smart, they wouldn't have wanted to go.
Well, our main weakness is that we're good. You know, we don't see people as bad. When people come up and say, you know, stuff, we're not going, oh, are they trying to trick me? Or what's the deal here? Are they a scam? Most people will believe people unless there's a big reason not to. Right? And this is what's happened. It's all, and what's happening, you know, for the last 2 years, right? It's all for your health. They're here to help you. It's all for you, to make sure that you don't get sick. Right? This is what they tell us. And clearly some people believe that. So it's our good nature and our hearts, I think, that they just got in and they just lied so profusely, and they were just something so different from us that we just couldn't see it. It's just outside our perception that someone would want to start a war, would want to steal children, would want to hurt someone. That's got nothing to do with a human. And so I think that was a big part of it. And also, you know, if there'd been a big, you know, cataclysm, well, everyone would have been traumatized, right? MK Ultra, right? It's their favorite tool. Traumatize people, get them when they're traumatized, start, you know, playing with their mental, you know, with their mental faculties while they're in a bad place, change them, get them to believe stuff that's not real. So I think that's what happened. And they got a big enough of a change. And then they started wars, they destroyed stuff. They just, you know, destroyed an already sort of broken civilization. You separate the kids from the parents, reteach them a new history, and then they just rebuild it in their image, right? In their fake, false, crappy creation image.
And like you said, one generation, mate, they could have done it.
We had no other reference points. You know, we didn't. If you're born an orphan and you're told one thing the whole time, how do you know any different?
Well, check that.
Again, these things, you know, construction, but they're always fully built buildings. And even up here, you know, we see this, but pretty blurry around here.
Is it photoshopped?
Well, this is the thing that we've got Photoshop. We've got photos from the 1880s with people holding their own heads under their arms.
Yeah. What about the ones where they're off, like, buildings on, like, you know, thousands of feet in the air eating a sandwich? Fucking. Like,
yeah, from New York. Yeah, I reckon. There's no way.
No way.
Like, seriously, they reckon, yeah, what do they tell us? They're like 50 stories in the air, and they're just cruising around on you know, metal beams while they're being craned around the outside, and they're just walking along
with a lunchbox, just lunchbox, sandwich in the other hand.
And the thing about that is, everyone's seen that picture, right?
Yeah.
Sitting. And that was actually sold as a picture. This is what they do when they want us to believe something.
Yeah, it's not hard, mate. Especially
put it out there, and they promote it, and they promote it, and they promote it. And then when when the truth comes out that they don't want us to know, of course, then you get these stories. Oh, it's a scam. See, oh, he's a fraudster, and they just, you know, do that, and then they don't publish it anymore, and they keep publishing the lie, and people go, oh, well, that must be the truth. I don't know why, but I mean, look at this. You know, pyramids with buildings attached to them, completely mud flooded. Look at this place.
Wow.
Completely trashed out.
Yeah.
And of course, there's pyramids all through China. They're in Europe. There's one in France that just got discovered. They're in Asia. Like,
I've got one near me in Croy Mountain, 5 minutes down the road, bro. You should see this pyramid, mate. It's anyone looking, like, get online and look at the satellite image, and you can sort of slant the image a little bit, and you look at this thing, mate. But they're everywhere around here. Tartaria,
everywhere.
Yeah, mate. I've done a couple of videos on these on my channels, and it's that same breathtaking. Like, when I drive into Pomona, another town up here, mate, you go around this corner and you just got this looks like an old building to me, or an old tree stump or something, but the size of it, man. Anyway, yeah.
And that's another thing, the giant trees to do with giants. That, I mean, you know, there's all these stories of giant trees. If you haven't looked into it, guys, check it out. We have all these what are called, you know, plateaus and mesas and things. And when you
Devil's
look at
Tower is a good one, bro, for
tower,
people to look at.
yeah,
The Devil's
and
Tower.
you look at them from the side, and they seem to have the same structure
Yeah.
as a tree. And you look at them from the top, and they have tree rings. So they
That's
look like
it.
they're trees that have been cut down.
And even
Now
when you
that,
get up close, bro, they've got like, it's like looking at one under a microscope on a cellular
yeah,
level because of the sheer size of them. You go down there, all those hexagonal,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
all the hexagons, yeah. Now, if they were all cut down, imagine what that would do to the atmosphere.
Mm,
Imagine how much CO2, you know, they were pumping out. So you'd change the atmosphere. We know that with more CO2, things grow bigger.
yeah.
Literally, people build greenhouses and pump CO2 into it so they grow bigger.
That's, mate, you put your finger on it, bro. I always wondered how they shifted the atmospheric pressure, and that's probably how they did it.
Yeah, you cut the trees down, you change it,
Yeah.
that way everything shrinks. And what do they tell us? Oh, everything was bigger in the past, right? No, yeah,
Does that mean
dragonflies.
we would have been able to move a lot, probably jump further and move
Oh,
a lot
yeah, I think
lighter
so.
and swifter and
We would have had superpowers.
mm,
So this is the thing, right? So it's like, you know, if someone's sitting in their nice house and they've got everything they want, and they're happy and everything, but then, you know, a bunch of people break in and smash everything up and cut the power off and burn half the house down, well, then that person's not in such a strong position anymore. If someone comes in and goes, oh, we know who did that to you, it was your neighbors, come with us, we'll look after you. Oh, listen, this is literally what they did. This
yeah,
is
wow.
how it happened.
Yeah, because that's a great way to put it, mate. They're just sitting there enjoying life. And like you said, just sitting at home, chilling. Next thing you know, you wouldn't expect it.
No, well, why
Yeah.
would they? They didn't know what war was. They didn't know what lack was. Everything was there for them. It was just life was to create and to be what you wanted to be and to work on your skills and give out what you can give to the world.
So that's when we
Um,
would have been human beings, mate, just being. And now we're literally the human race in the rat race.
yeah, we're racing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, man. Well, mate, great chat today, bro. I guess just to wrap it up, what what's some encouraging? I love listening to your stuff, mate, and I think it's better to fill people full of encouragement and good stuff than sit here and because as we know, as a whole, we want to just be vibrating on a higher frequency. What's a good way just to wrap it up today, mate? To finish this in a positive light and how we can sort of use it to our advantage in moving forward. How do you see it?
Focus on what you want and ignore the crap. Understand that everything, and I mean everything. I'm talking from day one at school to the last day at work. Last day of your, they are trying to program you. They are trying to change your thoughts. They're giving you opinion, telling you it's fact. They're saying this is what you are, this is who you are, this is where you are. Now, if you believe that, they're 100% true. They are correct. If you don't believe that, they are 100% wrong. Okay, we can sit here and we can complain and we can go, oh, poor little us, oh, we're being wrong. Or we can get off our asses and do something and say no more. Because if you're complaining, you are focusing on the problem, which means you're putting energy into it, which means you're literally helping them to create the world that you say you don't want. So it's time for us all to wake up a bit and to grow some backbone and some sovereignty and to stand and to understand that no one has the right to tell you what to do. No one rules you. Where did you sign? Did you sign your rights away? Where can they prove they're God and they created you? Of course not. So what they don't have, it's the same thing. The only control they have over you is the control you give them. And they know this. This is the whole scam that's been brought out into our eyes in the last 2 years. They will tell you all these things, oh, and bad things, but really that they're not going to come in and hold you down and shove things into you. It's all to make you go to them and say, please shove that into me. And if you ask them, in their twisted minds, they're free of karma. Oh, we didn't do anything. They came and asked us to do it. You know, we didn't start that war. We just had a conversation and he said, yeah, he's going to start a war. We just told him that, you know, all his neighbors wanted to kill him. But we didn't start the war. So this is all, it's all belief, guys, it's all choice. And you get to choose now. You get to choose to be you, to stand in your power, to stand as a creation of the creator, you know, because that's what you are. They want you to believe that you're some random little speck floating on a random little speck in an infinite universe, and that nothing means nothing. You'll die and no one will even remember you were here. That's complete BS. And so the biggest thing we can do is just stop believing the lie. Turn off the TV. Don't read the newspapers. Stop sharing all this information that all these so-called truthers are sharing. Oh my God, did you hear what they found in it today? Oh, did you hear how many people passed away today? Did you hear this? Oh my God, they're so bad. That is giving them energy. That's giving their agenda energy. That's helping them. What we need to do is go, that's not what we want. Turn around and go, we're going there, and just start building it. Write down what you want. Make videos and share of what you want.
Yeah.
We've got to focus on raising the frequency and vibration, or else we're just living their story. Again, it's just a story, his story. The authors are authority. You know, once you see it, the choice is, you know, Neo, right? Do you want to be a slave? It's a choice. You can either be a slave in a pod, having all their crap pumped into you, or you can go, this is crap. I think I'm a superhero. I'm going to go fly around and save the world. Because whatever you choose is the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah. And the truth hurts.
It is. I mean, we are so powerful.
Yeah.
We can turn ourselves into nothing, into slaves. That's how powerful we are.
Wow. It's an interesting way to look at it, brother. Well, mate, thank you so much for your time today, brother. And I always look forward to our chats, and hopefully we can have another one soon. I always like picking your brain, brother, and you're a real wealth of knowledge. And I just want to make clear, the only reason I started doing these videos, bro, was to get the knowledge out. This is certainly not about ego. It's certainly not a popularity contest. If I wanted to be popular, I certainly wouldn't be doing these videos. So yeah, mate. So this, and just can't thank you enough for your support, bro, because this is what it's all about. You know, it's all supporting each other, sharing the knowledge, and yeah, mate, keep doing your great work, and always look forward to seeing that little light going on my phone and seeing you've done a new video. So yeah, you take care, my man, and we'll speak again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for your time, man.
All right. Talk soon.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah.